Hi guys, welcome back to JD Mods. Today we are going to be continuing on the RX7 project. The main focus for today's video is going to be reassembling the 13B, doing a bit more engine-based stuff, and a few more things to tidy up on the actual chassis. So let's jump right into it and I'll show you guys what I got. Hi guys, welcome back to JD Mods. Today we are going to be continuing on the RX7 project. The main focus for today's video is going to be reassembling the 13B, doing a bit more engine-based stuff, and a few more things to tidy up on the actual chassis. So let's jump right into it and I'll show you guys what I got. First of all, sorry about the noise. There's kind of this ambient whirring noise because I got this new heater. It works really well. Right now it's around minus 15 degrees. So it works really well to keep it warm in here, but it is quite loud, so I apologize for that. Before I get to the new stuff, let's do a quick recap. If you haven't seen the old videos, definitely see those first. But basically, here is the RX7. You guys have seen most of the engine bay reassembly. I also got the headlight covers and headlights on. I have to do a bit of a touch-up paint around there. You can kind of see it's a bit light in that area. The other side's fine, but this side needs a little bit of touch-up paint. Aside from that, I got a brand new Fender Liner in the left-hand side because it was missing it. You won't be able to see it, but there's a brand new Fender Liner from Mazda. I also just quickly put on the rims because they were taking up too much floor space in the garage. Check out that sweet fitment. Might have to address that in this upcoming season. And then everything else I think you guys have already seen in the engine bay. There's my new front bumper, which I never fully showed you guys. My old one was all cracked up, so this is a OEM Mazda bumper with a west wing front lip. Disregard that, that is for the GS300. So there it is. It's a bit more aggressive than stock, but I honestly quite like it. It is going to give it some nice ground effects, and I think it's still pretty clean. Let's do a quick walk around. I got the wipers and cowling on. All you FD guys will know in this shot how many rare parts you can see. We got an uncracked dash hood. We've got brand new OEM front window vents. Those always break. The cowling is all in one piece. I got all brand new OEM little screw plugs, as well as freshly painted wiper blades with new, or wiper arms with new wiper blades. And of course you've seen pretty much the rest of the engine bay done to equally as good of a detail as the cowling. It's been a while since you guys have seen this car all over, so I'll give you guys a look inside. Of course, while we're here, these are my door handles that I freshly painted. All the seals and everything are all cleaned. It's all really nice condition. I got, sorry about the lighting, I got a new window switch. This thing's cracked unfortunately, but they kind of always are. At least mine's still there, which is kind of rare. Inside, basically just stock. I installed my rear view mirror, which has some water damage. I might look into getting a new one of those. And the passenger side window switch also needs to be replaced or repaired. It keeps falling out. And lastly, while we're here, I got a new Mazda OEM key to replace the old one because it's starting to crack. Just something I thought I would throw that in there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back of the car. Alright, so you'll see a few new things here. The exhaust is just mocked up with some jack stands because I wanted to see how it looked, and I love it. And also you'll see the very first new part for today's video, which is the red Affinity badge. I looked it up and I saw a few of these Montego Blue RX7s with red badges, and I absolutely love the look. Hopefully you guys can agree that it looks pretty cool. Black would probably be a much cleaner choice, or silver, but I just couldn't resist. Obviously they can be changed out, it's just double-sided tape and a few prongs, but I absolutely love it. It's brand new OEM from Mazda. I got one for the front too that I'll show you in a sec. I'll show you guys the other side. There it is from this side over here. I think it looks super clean as it is an OEM badge. And I just think it's just the icing on the cake for this build. There's another view of kind of how the car is going to look. And for people who haven't seen all of my recent videos, it has new rear hatch trim. It is aftermarket, but it fits really well, and the old one was all peeling and the OEM one was quite expensive. This does just as good of a job, looks really clean in my opinion. I got the rear wiper blade on, which a lot of people delete, but I think OEM is best. And I guess while we're on the topic of trim, I also got my front windshield trim on. Required a bit of wrestling since the windshield was in, which is thought to be impossible, but it is on and doing its job. So let's take a look at what I got for today's video. So this is a package I got from Eccentric Rotary. I'll quickly run through this to show you guys what I got. First up is their 86 and 95 O-ring kit. You can pause it if you want to see what's included in there. Basically just all the O-rings to keep your engine running healthy. And then in no particular order, just a water pump gasket. I got two new eccentric shaft bearings. These will go at each end of the motor, and the tool to press them in and out of the gears with. That's just a bag. I got the Eccentric Rotary apex seals. So these ones, I read some reviews, they're obviously softer than the OEM ones is the general consensus, but apparently they work really well, and also if they do for some reason fail, there's a lower chance of damaging a very expensive rotor housing or rotor. So that's pretty cool. Honestly, a lot of people use them, say they love them. So these are the brand of apex seal I went with. This is a hose that connects the master cylinder reservoir, this one here, to the clutch slave cylinder. So as you can see, I tried to mock something up, but it just looks gross. So that just connects those two together. That's an OEM Mazda part. As you'll notice, a lot of these are just a screw for an oil thing, a couple more gaskets, new springs for the apex seals, some nuts, some washers. These are the inserts for the corner seals. What else do we got? These are fuel injector diffusers, as mine broke trying to take them out. I think that's fairly common. Side seal springs. Sorry for the mess. We got the pilot bearing, some more lock washers for the oil pump. This is the thermal pellet. It's so cheap and everyone does it. I was like, yep, let's do it. Some more washers, and finally the front genuine Mazda red badge. This is how my rear one came, but I just couldn't wait, had to install it. So this one is going to look real sweet on the front of the car. So that's the entire box of stuff I got for my 13B rebuild. I didn't get anything else because I used that manual to inspect everything in the last video, and everything was in good enough condition except for the rear rotor housing. This is my old rear rotor housing. It has the damage that you've seen in old videos just above the the trailing spark plug hole, which is no good. And funny story, this one was given to me for free when I went to go buy a new motor for my MR2, which I'll mention in a different video. It is in much better condition than that housing, but has some peeling chrome and a little bit of vertical wear marks right above the spark plug hole right there. So I'm still looking for a really good condition housing. That is the last part of the puzzle before I start putting this thing together. So I thought I would just update you guys on those parts, but hopefully in the next clip you will see me having a new housing, or if I decide to use this for the time being. So good news guys, you'll notice that there's two rotor housings missing from the table because I sent them off to Rotor Specialties in Calgary, Alberta, in Canada, just like me. So they'll be refinishing my other two rotor housings. That one is the irreparable one. So while they're doing that, I thought why not get started on replacing the main bearings. So here's my current ones. There's tons of copper showing, which is no good. And you can see right there some pretty serious pitting. So for obvious reasons, I'm going to be replacing them. Here's the new bearing I got. This is the genuine Mazda OEM bearings. They weren't super expensive. I got them from Atkins Rotary. They are the yellow size bearing. It's actually the only size they sell, but I measured it and it will work good with my Eccentric shaft. And I also got their fairly well priced press out tool. So this of course is the tool that you use to press it out. It is made the perfect size for the both main bearings. Obviously the rotor bearings are different, but mine are fine, so I'm not doing them. So I got my manual open again, so we're gonna go ahead and try and press them out. First you have to mark the old bearing, which I did. So basically that keyway, let's take out that tool. The keyway right there, I scribed each side of it. So it's important to press it in the same direction for the oil passages and also the screw hole. So all you have to do is take out the screw hole, put it in the press gear side up, and then using the special brass tool, place it in just like that. Then I'm probably just gonna use a impact socket and see if I can press it out on my manual press. So here's my setup. I've got, just like I said, the stationary gear with the stationary bearing with the gear up. I have it on these two machined metal blocks from my work. And then this is just my manual little press. I actually was able to get it started. You can see that that's slightly below where it usually is. So they don't actually require too much force as long as you're doing it properly. But as you can see, the head of my press is about to hit on these gears because this is bigger than the inner diameter. So I'm just going to be using a nice hardened impact socket. So I'll do a little time lapse and we'll see if I can get it out. Well, that was actually surprisingly easy with the proper tool. You can see the old bearing pressed out great and did not damage the bearing carrier at all. So I got the new bearing now, and one thing I did was scribe, you can kind of see them right there, some lines. They're not super straight, but that'll be okay, from this square cutout all the way to the bottom, because it gets pressed in now gear side down. And I'm going to line up my scribes with those scribe marks up top, something like that. Something like that. And the key here is so that oval hole lines up with this screw, because once you press it in, you reinstall the screw to kind of retain the bearing. Kind of unnecessary in my opinion, but that's what they did. So we're going to go ahead and install it now gear side down. I'm going to put a little bit of lubrication on the outside to help it slide in. And we're going to slide it in with our tool again, just like this. And then just before we reach the bottom, I'm going to put something in between the tool and the bearing, just so that I know it seats perfectly flush with this face here. Hey guys, so very exciting news. You can see there's two rotor housings behind me. So I just got them back in the mail, so let's take a quick look. So I was gonna try and do a fancy unboxing, but I was way too excited. And also the battery on my camera is gonna slowly die. But anyway, check it out. They were sandblasted, hot tanked, and of course refinished by RX7 Specialties in Calgary, Alberta. I would highly recommend them. Give that a look. Wow. So the one you see closest to you is, I always lose the marking on them. It's the front one, there it is right there. So this is the one that turned out, he says 10 out of 10 condition. It is literally perfect all the way around. Look at that finish. This is going to be amazing compression. Pretty much perfect. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. And now I will show you the rear housing. Put that over there, Kyle. So the rear housing came out very, very good as well, and he said it will work very well for my setup. Literally almost perfect anyway. As you can see, the surface is really good. Very, very minimal chrome peeling, as you can see. And the only spot is the most common spot on these housings to have wear is right above the trailing spark plug hole. I always get them confused. You can see that little bit of wear right there in the light. He said basically from factory the spark plug hole lets some exhaust gas back through anyway, so these lines are just going to let a little bit more through, but you won't really notice it unless you're going for 500 or more horsepower, which I'm not. And as you can see, aside from that, don't mind my fingerprints, it came out very nice. So those are my two rotor housings. Very excited, and that means we can continue our engine build. This isn't for today's video, but I also got a new clutch, flywheel, pulley kit for the air pump delete, shift bushing, and a throwout bearing. But this means we can continue with our engine build. So I'm just installing the rear stationary gear into the plate. I put in a new seal, of course a new bearing, you saw that. I put silicone around the edges, and pretty much everything on this project I'm going to be torquing down with either a big torque wrench or this little AC Delco digital readout I have in Newton meters. And for example, these bolts here say to be torqued to 16 to 22 Newton meters, so I'm going to do 20 Newton meters, and that's going to be how I make sure that everything is the perfect torque. So let's go ahead and get her done. Alright, so I'm now ready to start assembly. I will show you guys what I've done to prepare. I put the dowels, O-rings in the housings, and I've got this gasket maker ready because you're supposed to add a little bit of gasket to the legs of the housing. I've prepared the front side of both rotors so that it can be placed into the assembly, and then the other side can be done while it's being built. So I've done the side seals, corner seals, all the little springs, and the corner seal inserts. I've applied petroleum jelly to all the seals to make sure that they won't fall out. I've super glued all the corners on the apex seals. And right here we have the corner seal inserts. I'm reusing the actual corner seals, the springs. There's the apex seal springs. Those are for the I guess the rear face of each rotor. This is the start of our assembly. This is of course the front iron. We're going to be building it front to back. It's all ready to go with new water seals installed correctly. You have to make sure that the white on the outer one is on the sides and the black is facing up, and the inside one goes any way you want. This is a seamless Atkins seal. And then there's just a bunch of petroleum jelly on there to keep them safe. And before we start assembling, I'm going to be putting oil. Pretty much, to summarize, on every metal surface is going to be getting oil. Then over here we have the front face of the front rotor prepared, good to go. And I just also put the water seals on the other housings as well. This one keeps falling off, but I'll make sure it doesn't fall off when we bolt it all together. So I guess it's time to start the assembly. It's going to be kind of hard for me to film, so I'll probably just set up my tripod and do some time lapse of random parts of it. So let's see what we can do. Alright guys, we're getting really close. I've got the last rotor in, same thing as the other one, got all the apex, corner and side seals, etc. in there. Always a good idea to make sure everything springs up as it should before you put the other iron on. But yeah, everything's all lubed up. I got a bit of sealant on the feet so that the oil doesn't leak past the plates from the oil pan is why they're there. And now we're going to go ahead and make sure that the rear plate up here has all the seals in properly, grease up this surface, and the bearing. Then we're going to go put that on the stack. Then the last step is tension bolts. So we're finally on the very last step of the tension bolts. They're still numbered from when I took them off, so I'm going to reuse all those numbers. I also have the M bolt, which is the one that goes in a specific location, as well as this other bolt that used to have a protector sleeve. It doesn't anymore, but I don't think it's a big deal. I also put on new washers. There's the old pile right there, and then I greased up the threads and the washers as well. And now we are going to put them onto the almost fully assembled keg, and we're going to torque them down in this order from the repair manual in 3 steps going up to 40 Newton meters, and then we are done. Well everyone, we did it. That is the 13B fully assembled. All the tension bolts are torqued to around 28 foot-pounds, and that is where I'm going to leave the video off today. It is just after midnight on a work night. So that's going to be it for today. Next up, we're going to dress up the engine with all of those parts there, attach the transmission, and put it in the car. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. There's one more look at the short block, or the keg as some rotary people call it. And I'm going to end it off right here. Thanks for watching. As always, like, comment, and subscribe to see more awesome RX7 and other car videos.